Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're having a blessed day wherever you are, Queens. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I wanted to talk about just how crazy I am for God, and I know you are as well. I would just say when normally people who have an issue with people who are very, very spiritually into God, not to the point of being like out of character as far as losing it to the point of draining someone. There's a difference of when you're just truly, truly have love for God and you want to share it with other people and they want to hear, your story and your testimony. And then you have some who are not really sharing the word properly or sharing it in the correct way that God has written in his word, and they're putting their own spin on it. And so I'm just saying that's the difference of when you have so much love for God, you're sharing it in the correct way that God wants you to share it in, and sharing your testimony, and just sharing just things that have happened in your life that you knew God helped you with that. And so me, I'm just talking about just how crazy I am for God and the things that he's done for me. When I was low on money and didn't have hardly any money in the bank account and very low on food, God made a way that I was able to get a loan for $800. And that was like the day before we were going to be out of food. So we were going to be out of food the following day coming up. And this company I had never heard of before blessed me with an opportunity to get a loan from them in the amount of $800. And I was just really happy about that. And it was just a blessing to have that. And so I will say, yes, for me, I'm definitely crazy for God when it comes to my son who was crying erratically out of the blue. We didn't know what was going on. I just was driving home. On my way home, this is when my son was almost 2 years old. And because right now he's 17, but when he was almost 2, he was just crying erratically, and me and my husband, we just couldn't figure out what was really going on. And so my husband got out. I pulled over, and my husband got out of the car to check on our son, and nothing was wrong with him. He was checking to make sure that maybe something bit him. He was making sure that wasn't the case. He was trying to see if he may have been buckled in a little bit too tight in his car seat. That wasn't the issue. And once I pulled over, after a while, he stopped crying. And so a little bit before my husband started getting back in the car, I had this major, major dizzy spell. And it was because I used to deal with vertigo. And vertigo is something that I would deal with when my iron was just extremely low. And so I would start getting like these dizzy spells. When I would go to the left, I would get like a dizzy, lean my head to the left or lean my head to the right. And it can be to the point where you just get really sick, and it affects your whole entire body. Like a lot of people really are not educated about vertigo. Vertigo affects your whole body. It affects your body to the point of you can get sick to your stomach when you leaning your head to the left and the right. You can get very much sick to your stomach to the point where you throw up, and that's why a lot of doctors will give people motion sickness pills to help with the vertigo. And so I would say continuously I am definitely crazy for God when it comes to me leaving my job. When I was not leaving it completely, but I went to the hospital because I just wasn't really feeling too good. I was talking to a customer on the phone. I was a customer service representative for a bank for about two different banks, but total customer service rep year, I would say about 8 years. And this one particular bank, which was the second one that I started working for, I've been working there for almost a year. And I started feeling not very, very well. And so what I did is I went to, I got off the headphones that I had on because I was sitting in front of the computer. And I told my supervisor, I need to go in the bathroom and just take a break or something. And once I came out of the bathroom, I started having this really bad case of rapid heart rate. And my heart rate just seemed like it just wouldn't slow down, and it kept going faster and faster. And so I went to sit outside to see if I would feel like a little better. Maybe I need like a kind of like some fresh air or something. And that didn't really help me. So I just told my supervisor I need to go to the doctor or the hospital, or maybe drive myself home. And so the nearest hospital from the job was probably like a good 20-minute drive. It was like almost going home. And I told her, I said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and just drive to the hospital. And the blessing thing is, my heart rate was beating so fast once I got there. I remember the doctor telling me, it's a miracle you made it here, because he said normally that heart rate will have you pass out. He said the next time you have a heart rate that fast, do not get behind the wheel. So he told me the only thing that was wrong with me is I was like kind of like dehydrated a little bit, and that I needed to go home. And he said just drink lots of water, lots of water, lots of water, and anything that has water in it. Eat anything, from a lot of vegetables to a lot of fruit, anything that has a lot of water in it. And so I did exactly what he told me to do. Whatever he told me to do, I did it. And I didn't change one pattern of doing it. And so I will say definitely I'm crazy for God, because he made it possible that I made it to the hospital without getting into an accident. I did not know I was not supposed to be driving a vehicle or operating anything with a rapid heart rate. So I had no clue. And everything that I have in my life, from my son to where I'm living and the money that I have, is definitely because of Father in heaven. We have to keep in mind that Jesus Christ was a spiritual birth to Mary and Joseph. He was born on December the 25th, and God in heaven is his biological father. But Jesus came to this earth so that we may have grace, so that we may know what love, and love is to love Jesus and to love God and to have that mercy on us. And Jesus is the reason why we have grace. Jesus give us the grace, because when Moses was on earth, we were going under the law. And the law is you have to do something in order to get something. And God would not give you anything that you are asking for unless you complete what he's telling you to do. So I'm saying this to understand how much Jesus, to let you know that Jesus loved you so much. And that's why I'm saying that I am crazy for God, because of all the things that he's done for me. He's helped me with so much. Even when the times that this one young lady, I felt like in my spirit I knew it was God telling me to do this. And I will say, yes, I'm crazy for Jesus, and I'm crazy for God in heaven. I'm crazy for Jesus in heaven, because without me hearing this young lady, and she didn't even know that I heard her, okay? I was with my family. We went to Universal Studios, and we were staying at this particular hotel, and me and my family went there, and the hotel is very, very nice. It's one of those hotels that have like a kind of like a kitchenette in it, and it's so that you don't have to go in and out of the hotel. And because I have a son with autism, it is very convenient that I rent a hotel that actually has a working kitchen, because it becomes a little bit draining trying to go in and out and get fast food. And because I have a diet that I need down, which is not really a diet, I just have to watch what I eat, because I do have hypertension. And so I don't eat fast food like that. I don't eat fast food, but I really love cooking at home. And so it's very convenient for my son and for me. And so this young lady, she was in the lobby, and she was talking to one of the gentlemen that worked at the hotel. And she was telling him that she has no money, and I didn't know what her story was. And she was trying to, book a room there. And when she got there to book a room, she had her cards with her, but there was no money on her card. And she was crying, and she was telling the man that I can't believe it. This person took all this money out of my account, and I have nothing. And I remember me and my son, we were just walking past, and then she actually exited the hotel. You can see her demeanor and her body. She was just really, really sad. And so my son is like, he likes going to the vending machine and getting things to snack on. And so I would say within about 2 hours later, me and my cousin and my son and my cousin's boyfriend, we went to Walmart. And Walmart, uh, with the market in it, it's not that far from the hotel. It's like once you walk out of the hotel, you don't even need to get in a car to get to most of the things there. But because some of the stuff on the same parking structure as the parking for the hotel is so far a distance, like Walmart, you can walk in the parking structure from the hotel to there, but it would be like maybe a 20-minute walk. And so once you go into Walmart, you're going to buy groceries, and that was the main reason we were going there anyway. When I got into Walmart and we were shopping and looking for stuff, after a while my son needed to go to the bathroom. And so we went over to where the restroom was, and this lady, she was sitting there. And I said, this is the same lady that was in that hotel. And she was talking about how much she didn't have any money. And so I started, my son went into the bathroom, and I was waiting for him outside. And I started, praying to God, talking to God, and asking him, should I give this young lady $40? And he told me yes. And so I went to the ATM machine. After first I rung up I talked to her first, and I said, I remember you. And she said, and she was really just not really looking well. You can just see that she was just going through it. She was going through it. And she said, yeah, she didn't. I said, well, you don't remember me. And I said, but I remember you. You were talking to this gentleman, and you were telling him about your financial issue of what you was dealing with. Someone took some money from you, and that's why you're not able to pay for a hotel room stay. And she just she started telling me her story. And I remember saying, well, listen, I remember seeing you out there, and you were talking to the gentleman at the front desk. And I said, I'm going to give you $40, but I told her, don't move. I want to give you something. And she was like, oh my God, thank you, So I went to go pay for my stuff first because my family was waiting for me, but I knew already that God had already told me that I needed to do this for this young lady. And so I came back and I gave her the money. And I told her, I said, God got you. God got you. And then she was so happy. She gave me a hug and started really crying. And I remember before giving her that money, I said, God, I know what she's telling me is sincere. And God was letting me know, it's sincere. Whatever happened to her and whatever she went through, she has to take that lesson that God is trying to show her. Do not do this to yourself again, because I'm watching over you and making sure you're okay. And so I would say, if that's being crazy for God, I don't understand how someone would assume that that's just a negative. It's a positive. Someone really needed help. And so yes, I am crazy for God for helping someone who really needed help, who was going through it, who didn't know I heard her when I was standing in the lobby and after I came out of the elevator, who didn't know that I recognized her immediately when I saw her sitting in the store. And so it was meant for me to help her because she needed help. We have to think about all the things that God has done for you when someone is telling you you're crazy, or all Christians are crazy, or the faith that you are, when you're following God, whatever religion you are, and people start saying you're crazy, but they don't understand the things that God has done for you. God has done so many things for me and my son, and when my husband was alive, when my mom was alive. As I mentioned, we dealt with some things with financial issues, and God has made it possible. I remember it was another time that we were dealing with financial issues as far as food. And this is when my husband was actually suing his job for workers' comp, and they were taking so long to give him the money that they were supposed to give him. And it became like a strain, but the church made sure we were taken care of. And so we were taken care of where we didn't have to worry about anything. And then a family member came over and brought some food out of the blue. And I didn't expect that. And me and my husband was very surprised because we did not expect that, but we knew that was God talking to them, saying, go over here, do this, and give them some food. And so God has a way of opening doors to a situation you're going through to help you to be taken care of in the way that He needs to make sure you're okay. I know for me, as I said, when my husband was very, very ill and he had like a slight stroke, God was the reason that I went back there to check on him. I was sitting watching TV with my son, and I was watching this one movie that I know my husband liked too, but he was going to study the Word because they had like an event at the church for Mother's Day, and he was going to be speaking on that particular day, on Mother's Day. And God told me to go in my bedroom to get something, and once I got there, I don't remember what I was going back there to get. I couldn't even tell you what it was. And once I got back there and couldn't remember what I was supposed to get, God told me to go into my husband's office. And I don't normally go in his office and disturb him because when he's studying, I don't want to bother him. And I went in there. I said, well, I'm going to go in there and act goofy like I normally do. And I opened the door, and he was slouched over in the chair. He was not looking good. He had slobber coming out of his mouth. And that was God telling me to go in there, and your husband is not doing well. Had I just sat there and say, I'm not going to listen to this and not make the decision that I know I normally would make, which is knowing I'm crazy for God, I'm going to go ahead and do whatever God in heaven is telling me to do. If I had decided not to do that, my husband would have died sooner than he did. My husband didn't die from that. My husband came home, and then after coming home and being home for almost 2 to 3 years, the seizures are the ones that the seizure is the one that took him, not the slight stroke. But it was meant for me to go in there and help him, because I wouldn't have known that me and my son was sitting down eating ice cream, looking at TV. And once I got in my bedroom, I could not remember what I needed to come in there for. So if people are telling you you're crazy for God because of what God is telling you to do, and you're doing these things, and God is showing you that He's making things possible for you and your family, or for you if you're living by yourself, and God is making things happening, He's opening doors, He's making sure you're taken care of, you have to look at it at that particular way. That people might say that to you, but they don't know the blessing God has given you. They don't know what God is doing in your life. They don't understand all the things that God has helped you through. When you thought you were losing your mind and you were out of it, or you was just confused, or a relationship didn't work out, or you lost a child to miscarriage, or you lost a husband, or you lost a mom or dad or a family member to violence or anything, and God kept you sane, meaning He's healing your heart when you're going through so many things in your life. He's making sure your heart is healed. So He's sending you love, and the way He's sending you love is making sure you're able to handle all those hardships and the things that you're dealing with. He's making sure that you are taken care of. And so with me, as I mentioned, I dated a guy that God told me not to date. He came to me in a dream. And had I listened to what God told me to do, this is when I was 28 years old, I would not have been in that relationship that wasn't healthy for me. It wasn't a horrible relationship. It was just This particular person, the only thing he wanted to do was just be intimate with me, and that was it. And so, just like we have to listen to what our Father in heaven is telling us to do, it's going to help you and it's going to benefit you. For you, it might look difficult. For you, it might sound difficult. For you to be on a lesser budget or a different amount. For you to stay in a city you don't want to live in. For you to be in a home that you don't want to live in. God knows what's best for you. And you'll start really appreciating that home and appreciating that city. You have to just wait on what God's plan is for you. And so when someone say you are crazy or you're crazy Christian or whatever your religion is and you're following God in heaven, you're doing what God in heaven is telling you to do, you can say, yeah, I'm crazy because God brought me out of homelessness. God brought me off of addiction to cigarettes or crack cocaine. God brought me out of, just looking at porn or whatever was your addiction. God healed you from that. And so when someone say you're crazy, you can say, yeah, I am. Because I'm crazy for allowing my God in heaven heal me. Is that what you're saying? Because he healed me from what I was dealing with. And you can say it in a much nicer way, but I was just saying that as a way of demonstrating. But as I mentioned, for me, I demonstrated the lack of faith when God told me not to date that guy. And that was demonstrating me not having faith in God. And I never wanted to go down that route of not having faith. So for me, I know when I wake up in the morning, and I might not have days where I'm not feeling 100% in the morning, I have faith that God is going to get me through that day. When I have days that my son seems like he's stressing out and the day is getting to him, I know God is going to help me heal him and get him to relax and understand everything is going to be fine. I have faith every morning when I get up that everything is going to be fine as far as my health and my son's health. If something is not bothering me, I know I need to make an appointment with a doctor to make sure I'm doing fine. So anytime someone say you're crazy or you're losing your mind or you're just not making sense because God is telling you to move somewhere, I used to, know a few people who were moving to different areas because God told them to, because they needed to go there and minister to people in that particular state. And there was something waiting there for them. We have to look at that in the same way Moses was helping his people. When God tells you to go somewhere because it's going to benefit you, it's going to be for the best, you need to go where God tells you to go and not be slow to move. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit today and just say that no matter how much someone tells you that you are making decisions that are sounding not right, or they may try to tell you about your religion in a negative way, don't allow it to get to you to the point where you become very angry and upset and dwell on them, deciding to, replaying that over and over in your head of what someone said to you. Just ignore it, because God doesn't want you to focus on that. God wants you to have a positive look on everything, and you keep in mind what he's done for you. As I mentioned before, with the demonic influence, I focused on what God done for me when I was dealing with that. That was the main thing that I was focusing on, what he has already done for me and what he's doing for me and what he's going to be doing for me. And that's what I stayed focused on. And I say the same thing to you. Stay focused on what God has done for you and what he will do for you. And that can be just getting a part of a program and helping those who are in need, which is something that's really passionate for you, that you really love, or knowing that You don't know how you're going to pay a certain bill, but God is going to make a way. God is going to tell you the things that you need to do to make sure that you are fine, and helping those who need help. But your main thing that you have to do is get into the Word and understand what you're reading, so you can help educate other people about what you're reading, what it's about, and it's going to help educate you in the process, and you're going to become more eager into understanding His Word. So I want to say I want you to have a wonderful day and a blessed afternoon or a blessed night, and enjoy the rest of your day. Amen.